Hi, welcome to Yoga for Runners. So props that will be useful today. Having a strap handy, we're going to do some strap work again like we did on the first week, and then a couple of blocks, and you might want like a towel or a blanket for underneath the knees. So coming to start when you're ready, lying down on your back, scooting about halfway up, keeping the knees bent, feet to the floor. And we'll just take a couple of starting breaths here, allowing the eyes to close. So hands can be either palm up or on the belly, whatever's feeling good. And if you just got back from your run, maybe allowing this few moments lying down on your back to get your breath back and allowing the body to feel a little bit more relaxed. And maybe seeing if you can allow the breath to reach deeper into the body. So really filling up all areas of the lungs, front, back, sides. Nice deep breaths as you're breathing in and full exhales as you're breathing out through the mouth. Taking a couple more breaths like this. Maybe the breath even comes down into the belly, allowing the belly to expand. Really allowing all the nourishing oxygen to reach the muscles that have been working hard. Really helps with recovery, doing this kind of breath work after going for a run. Sometimes the breath can get a bit short and a bit trapped in the upper body. And then keeping the eyes closed if it feels good, separating the knees, having the feet about hips width, and just taking a few windscreen wipers with the legs so the knees don't have to come all the way down to the ground, but just taking a couple of little opening windscreen wipers. And then maybe the arms open up into a kind of a cactus shape, allowing the chest to also open up. So just bringing a little bit of movement through the back, through the spine. And then the next time that the knees come over to the right hand side, allowing them to stay there, coming into a little spinal twist. So you can bring the right hand down onto the knees. It's okay if the knees don't fully reach the ground. Maybe the hip lifts up a little bit. It's okay if the shoulder lifts up a little bit. So taking a spinal twist in whatever way feels good for you. You can turn your head to look over to the left side if you'd like, or you can stay just with the legs moving over to the side. And then inhale, coming back up to center and lowering over to the other side. So maybe you take that right arm into the cactus, maybe the left hand comes down to the knees. So having a little feel in here, what's feeling good for your body, what level of twist you want to take. There's no right or wrong, so just having a little feel in, seeing where your body wants to be today. And inhaling, coming back up to center. And then bending the right knee, drawing it into the chest, and you can either use just the right hand or you can use both hands behind the shin to take some circles of the hips. So this is a really great way to encourage secretion of synovial fluid within the hip joint. So you can take it a few times one way, a few times the other way. So if you've been running for a while, you'll know that knees and hips tend to be annoyingly notorious places for discomfort, for tightness, for injury, you name it. They work hard when we run. So just taking these circles with the hips in particular is a really great way
to encourage that synovial fluid, keep the joint really, really healthy. And then when you're ready, you can bring that foot down, swap for the other leg, and take the circles here. So with my sort of running routine, I tend to take a mixture of these kind of classes after runs, so to sort of open the body, stop everything seizing up. You'll probably know that if you come back from a run, you can swap direction whenever you want, by the way. If you don't stretch and you don't open up the body, then the next day things feel pretty tight and like you can't really move very, very well. So having a class like this really helps to keep the body open, stop that tightness coming in and prevent any injuries. And then you can include more active classes as well if you want. And that will help with working on your breathing when you're doing something that's quite dynamic, like running. Taking one more circle there and bringing the foot back down. So this is the time to grab your strap, linking it around the ball of the right foot, and then coming through as we did before. So stretching out the foot to the back of the mat first before you lift it, holding onto the straps as near to the body as you can so that the chest stays open. And then inhale, lifting the foot up to wherever's feeling good. So wherever you're starting to feel a stretch in the back of that leg. And then you can open up and lower down that left leg straight to the ground if that's feeling good, or you can keep it bent if you prefer. So it might be that if you did the first class that, you know, your leg feels completely different today. It might feel tighter, it might feel more open. You know, don't worry if it's feeling a little different. It can be like that with running sometimes, that sometimes the body just has a day of feeling particularly tight. So if that's you, then just see if you can breathe into that space. And then on your next exhale, option if it feels good to take that leg out to the side, so out to the right, supporting it with the strap, taking it over as far as it feels good. So maybe it comes quite a long way open, maybe it stays fairly high. No right or wrong here, allowing it to be where it wants to be. Opening up the inside of the hip. So again, this works on getting that synovial fluid into the joint, taking the joint through its full range of movement, and also allowing the muscles to fully open up and release. So seeing if you can keep that left hip and left shoulder grounded down onto your mat. I know that can be hard when your legs sticking all the way out to the right, but seeing if you can keep those grounded down. As you inhale, bringing that leg back to center, and then exhale, coming across the body to the other side. So I get to have a little rest on the wall again as before. It might be that you have a handy little prop like that as well and in your house. So yeah, using the active classes in yoga to help with the breath. A lot of yoga works into bringing the breath into the lower ribs. So sometimes in running, the breath can come really high up into the chest. And maybe as you're doing these exercises, as we're working with the straps at the moment, seeing if you can send your breath particularly into the side of the lower ribs and the back of the lower ribs. So these are really helpful places when you're running to try and have the breath that allows you to get a full, deep breath. Breathing into the belly kind of isn't really something that's available when you're running, but seeing if you can bring the breath a little bit deeper than the top of the chest really helps, and it will stop you feeling as sort of short of breath and help your breath to be more controlled a lot longer as you're running. So yeah, that's one way that yoga can be super helpful actually with running. When you're ready on your next inhale, leg comes back to center, taking one final breath in the center, wherever's feeling good. And then bending the knee, releasing the strap. Foot comes out to the ground. You can give the legs a little shake here if that feels good. A little rock from side to side. A little circle of the ankles maybe. And maybe taking a moment to just notice the difference in feeling between those two legs. So maybe closing the eyes for a second and just noticing, how do those two legs feel different? What's the effect of this work with the strap? Can you notice any difference? And then when you're ready, drawing the left knee and the left foot in, taking your little bind around the foot here with the strap. And same as before, so opening up the foot towards the back of the mat first, and then on your inhale, once you've got hold of the straps, you can allow the leg to rise up any amount that's feeling good. And maybe you take this opportunity to close the eyes and see about breathing into the lower ribs, the side of the ribs, the back of the ribs. Getting a little feel for the 3D nature of your breath, how it moves your body. And then on your next exhale, option to open that leg out to the side as we did on the other side. So maybe you had a wall like I did. If you did, maybe you want to take a little shuffle over so you can get a nice full opening, or maybe the wall's in just the right place. Either way, breathing into that area in the lower ribs, and also sending your breath, if you can, down towards that inner thigh if it's feeling tight. On your next inhale, using the straps to draw that foot up to center, exhaling it across the body over to the other side. So this stretch in particular is really, really good for running. It's a group of muscles that can get pretty ignored in a lot of running stretches. We're pretty good at opening up the front of the leg, the back of the leg, and then maybe doing a couple of side lunges, opening up the inside. But this is a tricky one, and it's certainly a nice way to stretch and open up this bit of the body. So taking a few more breaths here. Maybe you allow the breath to come in through the nose and then slowly release out through the mouth. On your next inhale, bringing that leg back to center for one last breath in the middle. And then bending the knee when you're ready, releasing the strap. Bending both knees into the chest, hand on the knees, and taking some circles with the knees together. Couple of times one way, couple of times the other way. And of course you can do a little leg shake here if that felt good. You can do a little ankle circle. So this is feeling into what your body needs. And then coming back to center, rolling onto one side. So rolling onto your right side maybe to start with, if that feels comfortable. And you're going to bring your head into your hand like you're posing for some kind of, I don't know, beach photo shoot or something like that. Imagining that if it's not a nice day where you are, that it's maybe warmer than it is, using your front hand to support you. And then once you're feeling comfortable, bending that top knee, and then using your left hand to reach back, grab hold of that foot. So pushing the foot into the hand. Maybe you have a little wobble like I did, and you can bring that the heel up towards the hips, up towards the glutes. And as when you're doing this stretch, when you're standing, you can then push the hips forward slightly to maybe increase that stretch. And seeing if you can keep the lower ribs tucked in, so rather than arching through the spine, really making sure that the stretch is coming through the quads. So if you do find yourself having a little wobble here, then you can always pop a couple of cushions behind for support. So this is not a test of balance, this is about opening up the body. So yeah, don't worry if you are feeling wobbly, especially if you've been for a run. Sometimes the body's just had enough of doing anything that's too supportive. So make this easy for yourself, opening up through the chest, opening up through the quad. So pushing the hip bones forward slightly, tucking in the lower ribs. And then straightening out that leg. So you can either roll over onto the other side, or what I'll do so I don't have my back to you is coming up and changing ends. And then same on this side. So supporting your head with your hand, bending your top knee, reaching back and catching it, and then taking the stretch here. So drawing the heel up towards your glutes, allowing the hips to sort of reach forwards, but without arching the back. So thinking about those lower ribs, thinking about those kind of tucking in slightly, and then hopefully that'll help you from overarching through the back. And it might be that this side feels completely different, that there's a lot more tightness or it's more open. So this is another option for stretching out the quads if, as opposed to doing sort of like a standing balance in this way. So it can be, you know, quite nice if, say, you come back from a run, you just want to pop on some music, or if you're watching something on the TV and you want to stretch out, and it gives the body a chance to relax. So when we stretch out when we're lying down, the legs are not having to do the work to maintain balance or anything like that. And sometimes that can mean that actually the stretching is more effective for the body because it's not working hard to keep you upright and supported, it's focusing just on opening. So this is a really nice way to just allow the front of the legs to really gently open up, the front of the hips to really gently open up. And then when you're ready, releasing that foot, and then coming forward onto your front. So bringing the hands underneath the shoulders and then lowering down, bringing the forehead down to the mat, interlacing the fingers behind the back, and then reaching up and back with the fingers to open up the chest, and then maybe you lift the gaze as well. So coming into a kind of half locust pose, opening up through the chest, through the shoulders. So keeping the hands away from the body instead of letting them rest on the glutes, seeing if you can keep them up and lifted, that'll open more through the chest. And then exhale, lowering down. Then you can relax a little bit here. Inhale one more time, reaching up and back, interlacing the fingers, really kind of pulling the hands away from the body, allowing the chest to really broaden, really open. And then hands underneath the shoulders, pressing up and back, coming into a downward facing dog. So lifting the hips up, maybe you take some pedals with the feet if the back of your legs are feeling tight. So exhaling, bringing the right heel down, coming up onto the left toes. Inhale, rising up onto the right toes. Exhale, left heel comes down. So you can come through this really nice and slowly, pedaling through the feet gently, feeling into where's feeling tight in the legs, maybe which leg feels the most open. And then allowing a little bit of stillness in this pose, heels reaching down towards the back of the mat. And on your next inhale, right foot coming forward in between the hands into a low lunge. So you can use your hands to help your foot get there if you'd like, or bringing it forward if that already feels comfortable. And then lowering down the back knee. So this is where you might want a blanket underneath that knee if your knees can feel a little bit tender or a little bit sore. And then allowing the back toes to untuck. On an inhale, reaching up tall with the hands. Exhale, lowering back down. Allowing the right foot to come over a little bit to the side so that both hands can come inside of the right foot. And then opening up the right knee and the right foot. So coming onto the little toe edge of the right foot, and the knee opens up towards the side. And you can use your hand here to sort of open up through that knee, maybe the hip sinks down. So you can take a little twist if you want, opening up to the side. Or if you'd like to, you can have the knee and the foot opening up, keeping both hands to the ground, or lowering down onto elbows if you're feeling particularly open today. So your choice here, whether you keep the body facing forwards, or whether you take that little twist opening up there. And if at any point that gets too intense, of course, you can come back to your low lunge, or you can take your rocks back and forward like we've done before. So if you've got your blocks, then you can take your little rocks back and forward. So there are lots of different options here. You're feeling into what your body needs. So you can either do your rocks back and forward, working really slowly, or you can stay opening up, twisting to the side, or staying forwards. So if you took the twist or staying forward, it might be that you'd now like to bring that foot back down to the ground and take a little rock back. If you've got your blocks handy, otherwise you can use your fingers. Opening up the back of the leg for a couple of breaths. So all of these different options allow you to feel into where your body gets tight when you're running. So for some people it will be that the front of the legs get and the hips get particularly tight, and for other people it'll be the hamstrings that really tighten up. So using this as an opportunity to explore what you need and what feels best for you. And then coming forward when you're ready, bringing the hands by the feet, stepping back into that all fours position, taking a downward facing dog for a couple of breaths. When you're ready, left foot coming forward in between the hands, lowering down the back knee. So popping a blanket underneath if that feels good. You can untuck the toes. Inhale, reaching up into low lunge. Exhale, moving the left foot over slightly so that the hands can come inside of the left foot. And then the left foot and the left knee open up to the side. So coming onto the little toe edge of the left foot. You can use your hand to open up that left knee, coming into a little twist if that's feeling good. So when we come into a twist, you'll notice that you start to maybe feel it a little bit in different places on the right hip. Maybe feel it a little bit on the left leg as well. You might like to stay forward but keep the knee and the foot open. And of course here you can come down onto elbows if that feels good. And if that gets too intense, then taking those rocks immediately if that feels better. So you're welcome to always come into the rocking, particularly if you're feeling like you really want to open up the back of the legs instead. So if you're feeling quite open here, then you're welcome to come straight into the rocks if that feels better. Otherwise, taking a couple of breaths more in whatever position you've chosen.
And then when you're ready, option to take that rock back, using the blocks if you've got them. Lifting up the toes of the front foot and opening up the back of the left leg. So really allowing that left hip to draw back and be level with the right hip so that you get that nice opening in the back of the left leg. And then inhale, coming forwards, bring the blocks off to one side, hands either side of the foot. Foot comes back into all fours, and option to take one final downward facing dog, or you can stay in all fours if you want, taking some hip circles. Seeing if you can allow the head and the neck to completely relax. Gaze comes in between the legs to the back of the mat. And the chest sinks down towards the ground as the hands and the feet ground down into the earth and the hips rise up tall. On your next inhale, allowing the knees to come down to the ground, feet come out to the side, and coming to lie down on your back. So finding a position that feels good here, maybe you pop a cushion underneath your head, maybe you feel content to open up where you are, maybe you want something underneath the knees. Wherever you are, coming to rest in Shavasana. Allowing the eyes to close. And maybe taking a moment to notice and experience the openness in your body. So just that few minutes of those different poses, different stretches. Seeing how they felt today for you. Sometimes stretching after a run can feel like the most unappealing thing to do, and I totally get that. And I really hope that these little classes feel a bit more exciting maybe than just kind of standing and stretching on your doorstep, or coming into your living room and feeling like, oh God, I've got to have 20 minutes or half an hour of stretching now, and it feeling like a real task. So that's kind of what these classes are for, to make that whole process a little bit more fun. Of course, you can add extra stretches onto the end. You can always hold these poses for longer. You can come back and revisit some of these poses if they felt particularly useful. But this is a way to just make sure that, you know, when you've finished a run, that you don't come in the door and end up, you know, getting busy as life does and everything's seizing up and getting tight. So it's just a way to keep you hopefully free from injury, a little bit more open, and a little bit more ready for the next time you go out running. So taking a few moments here in whatever position you've chosen to allow your body to actually completely release, sink down, become heavy. Maybe taking a little scan up your body. Is there anywhere that's still holding on to tension? The feet or ankles, the calves or the thighs. Any tension hanging on in the hips, the shoulders, the jaw or your forehead.
Finding space and openness in all of these places. I really encourage you to take even just a couple more minutes in this place. This is so important, so good for the body, particularly after it's worked really hard, just to allow that little bit of space before the rest of life comes in, the next task, the next job. I hope this practice has felt really useful, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Namaste.